No, he's gonna do it.
He's gonna do everything in life.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday evening. My name is Manny. I'm here joined with Yonara Rocha and Luide Rocha, and tonight we'll be talking about the power of inclusion. So before we begin, I'd like to invite everyone for an opening prayer, and we'll get started. So bringing ourselves fully to this moment, let us calm our minds and focus our thoughts and try to invite some inspirational words and inspirational thoughts and ideas. Let's remember the reasons why we're here on this planet, in our lives, in our situations. These are experiences, learning experiences that we have to go through to grow and progress. Let us not cling to negative emotions and let them govern our actions. Let's try to understand where our emotions come from in order to better navigate our lives, to better understand those around us, to understand others more effectively, more empathetically, with love, without judgment. Let's remember that we are all together in this journey that we are all taking. And none of us would be here without the help of so many others before us and now. So with that feeling of inclusiveness and of universal love, let's hold those thoughts. Let's continue to learn, to open a hand to others, and to leave our grudges behind and embrace more positive thoughts, feelings, and futures. And with that, we begin the work of tonight. So be it. Thank you.
So be it.
All right, so once again, we are joined here, the three of us. We're talking about the power of inclusion. So thank you for inviting me for this talk. So I'm excited to join you guys in this. And so who would like to begin? I'll ask Luigi.
You want to start it?
No, you can start.
I'll start it then. So we select this title because I think at the moment we need.
This microphone is not on.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Test. Good. It was my fault. I was in mute. So let's start it. So we have selected this topic because we found important this topic and of inclusion. And so we need to start talking about, especially now that we are coming out of this this terrible moment that we lived on this planet, the power of inclusion. And the title doesn't tell us a lot of things. And I want to bring this up to show that we all, as humanity, we are one. But not in a one as pantheism, right? But in a one that we depend on one another for everything. For everything. For example, we depend on nature to breathe. Without trees, we're not going to be able to breathe. We can even say that we have one lung inside our chest and another part of our lung hanging on a tree. Because without that, we're not going to have any air. So it's part of us in a way, that way we live here. We are talking about trees, something that a lot of people don't give a lot of importance to it. But we want to bring this topic on the side of humanity, society, one another, the power of inclusion.
And I think the thing is that we as humans, we are naturally inclusive. That's why Luide was given an example of, the tree. Like we are breathing here today, we are breathing the same air. Like the air that goes out of me, you pull it in. And then it goes out of me and he's pull it in. So we are all part of this inclusive nature. Is in our nature to include everybody. And why we are not living like this, it's the big question. What happened to us? How come we disconnect ourselves from this, inclusive nature that we have? And one of the things is our mental state, what they taught us, what we learn in schools. Since I was maybe in kindergarten or first grade, there is always a competition going on. This is how the society raises the kids. They raise us to be competitive. And when you're competitive, there's one problem in that you're only thinking about yourself, because you want to be better than everybody else, because being better than everybody else, it makes you feel good. It's an illusion. But at the same time, this is what society teaches people today. So you go through middle school, you go to high school, and there was always that one person that is going to speak on the high school graduated, that gotta have the best grades ever, the best GPA. Anyway.
The valedictorian, right?
Yeah. So what happens is we are born with this inclusive, nature, but somehow we kind of lose it in life.
We lost this somewhere in a way.
Yeah, and it's like if you look at it, a 3 or 4 year old, the way that they see the world, like when you were 5 years. If you can go back when you were 5 years old, 6 years old, you're going to see that you were a completely different person than what you are right now. When you are a kid, you're happy, you forgive more, you included more, you do a lot of things differently than what you do it today. And then times go by, and this teaching, this society kind of get into our head. And then what it is we need to go back to what is natural for us. But in order to go back, we need to perceive ourselves and see how we disconnect ourselves from being inclusive to only think about me, or think about me first. And that's one of the things that happens. Kardec
asked in the Book of Spirits about happiness and when happiness is going to reign on this planet. And the Spirit's answer is that we have moments of happiness. We are not happy all the time. Why we have moments of happiness is because a lot of people in the world are suffering and affect us in a way that we don't even know. We might don't care sometimes. For example, the war that is happening just now in the Middle East. Now kids dying, people dying. We are continuing living our lives, right? But this is affecting us in a way. It affects more others than affect more people, that are more concerned to the world. But the people they are not concerned about are also being affected. What he wants to say is that the Spirit say that unless everybody is on the same level, okay, of evolution, we're not going to see happiness constant in our lives because we depend on one another. So, in being inclusive, you are working through your happiness. You're working to find what everybody wants is to be stable, is to have balance, and to be happy. Now, today, I didn't even tell you this, but I received a text message as soon that was posted on the groups of WhatsApp. Somebody asked me, Luide, do you believe that in the future we're going to have any borders in our planet? So I say, listen, this is my opinion. right? It's not the opinion of the Spirit. It's not the opinion of the spiritual doctrine. This is my opinion. I believe in the future we're not going to have any borders. I believe in the future we're going to have few way of communicating to ourselves. Language is going to start disappearing. We're going to keep the most common one until we don't need to use language anymore. Like, the spirits ask, what is the communication of the spirits? Is the thought. So the thought is not a language. So it's understanding one another, it's feeling one another. Telepathic. So, but this brings us to a place that we need right now to understand this, because we are going through this change in our planet. The planet is moving forward to show one humanity, but there is a lot of us pushing in another way, not understanding that to be inclusive is to guarantee my future. People are not inclusive because of fear. Fear is the main thing of everything. Okay, because I don't want to include her because I think she's going to take my spot. I don't want to include her because I think she's going to be better than me. I don't want to include her because I think she's prettier than me, and so on and so forth. It keeps going on this. Okay? Because we are always identifying what is an external, the physical. We never identify ourselves what we truly are, spirits. Right? If we see that we are spirit, that our body is just an instrument for us to hear, to evolve, we're not going to focus on external. And one day, we're going to understand that we are here to evolve, and without inclusiveness, without knowing that you is the same as me, is going to start making this more complicated for us, like we see right now. Everything's very complicated.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you talked about everyone is kind of has to be on the same level, and happiness comes and goes, and sometimes we feel things that, we don't even understand where they're coming from and why we're not happy. But I think that's a really big reason for depression these days, because it's not just, I did something wrong or, something happened in your life. I think a lot of people, they humanity is kind of evolving kind of spiritually, and it seems faster right now. So there's different things that people are being confronted with. So they see different things in the planet, and they want to do good, right? They feel like they want to do good, but they just don't know how. They don't know where they should apply themselves. They see, okay, they see government, and they see a lot of corruption. They see, there's a lot of corruption everywhere. And I think a lot of people have a difficult time, dealing with that, because they want to try and do good, but they just don't see how it's possible with everything around them.
The really big problem that we have with that, if we go deep on the root and see why is this happening, okay, is because the way we see the world. It's like, let me ask you this. Most of the problems that we have today, when we have problems, like big problems, they are caused by people that think they're good people, okay? So usually nobody says that I'm a bad person and I'm going to create drama. I'm going to create a problem. No, usually people that consider themselves good are the ones that cause more problems in the world.
Because they believe they're doing something good. Because
the problem is this. We divided the world between good and evil. So if you think like me, you are a good person. If you don't think like me, you're an evil person. And we don't see it. We don't see things the way it is naturally. Now, when you look at when you are inclusive, I'm going to look at you knowing that you have your own time, you have your evolution, and you have your own time to develop the stuff that you need to develop, and I have my own. But at the moment that I divide it, so good and evil divides the world, and good and evil. And there's wars. The wars that we have on our planets today, because what? Look at the small wars we're having today on the news between Israel and the Palestinians. They both think that they're good, and the other one is evil. So who are good and who are the evil? You know, it's a matter of opinion. That's what you have to understand. What is good for you, it's good for you. And it's good for you only. And then when you started to go that, you said, okay, so how can I live in this world and includes everybody when I'm still dividing people by good and evil?
Or right or wrong.
Or right or wrong. So what we have to do is get rid of this and accept things just the way it is. You can still say it to me. It doesn't seem right to me. But I'm not going to be absolutely sure that I'm the one who holds the truth because, you know, if you look at the planet Earth, the solar system, and the billions of planets that we are out there, you have to convince yourself that we don't know anything. We don't know anything.
So answer your question about where we start. But before I'm going to make a comment about the depression that you mentioned. So people sometimes, you know, they have a great day, they have a great Tuesday, and they wake up on a Wednesday down. Or they wake up on a Wednesday with a bad feeling. So these are vibrations, right? These are vibrations because people, they are more sensitive, will capture these vibrations, especially from the wars, kids dying, people's dying. These are flowing around over there, and you catch this, and it turns into depression, anxiety, and so on and so forth.
Which can turn into other things because we have no idea where they're coming from.
Exactly, right? But we know.
Yeah.
We as spiritualist people, we know that the entire world is vibration. The entire universe is vibration. Now, where to start? You asked that. Where somebody needs to start to understand this? Everybody should start where identifying himself in what you're not. And not who you are. Is identifying what you are not. So if I ask you here, what are you are not? Do you know how to answer that? Huh? What you are not? So let's start on a simple thing. Are you this body?
No.
Here we go. So she's not the body. So you should not focus on things that is important to the body. Okay? Only. Okay? That's a good start. Okay, so if you're not a body, what are you? You are a spirit. So you should identify with things that is concerned to the spirit. So like this, if you start like this, what you are not, you're going to find out why you're here for. So the problem is that people today, we have, you know, thousands of people in the world talking about this. Okay, exactly what we're talking about here. But people are not identifying with this message. Why? Why are we not identifying with this message? The message of happiness, the message of love, the message of hope. Why we are not identifying with this message? The same way bad news goes around, good news also goes around, but we are always identifying with the negative side of everything.
It's also what I see is that if we want to talk about this, it's the fact that we've been doing this for centuries, you know, like let's teach people how to be good. Let's teach people how to be morally correct. And that doesn't work because when you have a chance, when life throws at you an experience, you know, how many times we see ourselves here and we said, okay, we have to love our neighbor. Okay, can you love your neighbor? You know, can you really truly say that you love your neighbor? You can't. So what is wrong with the message? Why we are not transforming ourselves into something that, you know, we really are? It's because spirituality, it's not a philosophy. It's not a way that you think, it's not something that is rational. It's something that you experience. Spirituality is for you to experience, not for you to have a theory about it. And that's the problem. Nobody is experiencing spirituality. Everybody, which is the essence of it. So, who am I? I'm not the body. But in order for me to know truly who am I have to break some boundaries. And the boundaries that it's imposed to my body only. If I'm much more than the body, okay, how come I'm not experiencing that? And that's the biggest problem. When people realize that spirituality is not something that you rational about it, that you say it, is something that you experience. As a medium, for an example, a medium can sit here and it can feel, it can touch somebody else's life. So if I'm here and I connected to Ana Lúcia lá, I might be able to feel exactly what she feels. Okay? So how come? How can I do that? With the body? No. I can do that through breaking the boundaries. So when you break the boundaries, you experience spirituality. Okay? Now, if I see Ana Lúcia and I can feel what she feels, it's because I have, for some reason, I am part of her and she's part of me, because we are a spirit. And the spirit doesn't have sex. Allan Kardec said that. A spirit doesn't have a gender. A spirit doesn't have a form.
Nationality.
A spirit doesn't have a nationality. A spirit doesn't have any of this. That's why the word is spirituality. Spirit don't have any of this. Now, when I realize that Ana Lúcia, because when Jesus says we are all brothers and sisters, that is so true. Okay, because we are part of each other. So let me ask you this. If I feel her, and if I break the boundary and live in spirituality, and I can feel her as much as I can feel anybody in the world, because I'm breaking from this body and I'm experiencing who am I, which is the spirit, do you have to tell me not to hurt her, not to be rude to her? You don't. Because I know that she's part of me. Am I going to hurt somebody that is part of me? No.
The reason why we have these conflicts is because we don't understand that.
And we are not experiencing spirituality.
We're each our own individuals with our own lessons and growth, but we're also part of a larger
We have an
We are
experience.
individual. We are individual. Individuality comes on a part of free will. Okay? That's your individuality. Your individuality, you can choose and do whatever you want. That's your responsibility. Okay? But we are one. Okay? Why we are one? Because we are connected to each other. Our evolution, my evolution, okay, depends also on everybody else. Okay? Why is that? Because if you go back in that question, okay, why God created us? He had no reason to create us because He's God. He should live His life as God, and who needs this, right? It's because love is connected, and we come from love. So when we come from love, we are automatically connect one another. It's just that we break this boundary of love, and some time ago there, thousands of years ago, and we start living as tribals. I bring to me here for my family, for my friends, and I don't care for the others. I don't recognize, I don't see the other as part of me. And that's why the sickness and this and that. I was reading a book once, it's the Genesis of the solar system, and he was mentioning the evolution of Venus. It was one of the planets that evolved faster in our solar system. It was Venus, because they focus on a unity. They focus in nature, they focus on themselves. And their evolution were almost straight up for the entire planet. For the entire planet. They live in now in the vibration, 7, whatever. Very, very high vibration, because of the only concept that they got it as humanity, that we are one and we cannot move forward by ourselves without being included. Okay? When you see somebody suffering, okay, you can just pass. Don't care, it's not my problem, right? Or you can look at that and say, what can I do in this situation? Okay, we cannot do everything, but we can connect to everything. But how you connect to everything? So when you read, you turn the TV on and you see the word happen, how are you going to connect to that? You're going to connect to the feeling of compassion. You're not going to take sides, because both sides are you. There is no way for you to take sides. Okay? So you're going to go there, you're going to go a night sleep and you're going to pray for something to happen for good, and the war stops. That's how we get involved. It's like a banana on the floor. You can walk by and see, you can pick it up and think this is my job. No, it's your responsibility. You're responding the way that you are as a human being, because you're thinking, I'm going to take this out of here. It's not because it's on the floor. It's because somebody could come here and step on it and get hurt. It does not matter who. And that's how we should do things. Taking sides in humanity is complicated, because you're going against yourself.
And you start judging.
And then you start judgment.
Yeah, and
judging.
This goes back to what you were saying earlier, how people, they're judging by good and bad, or they're putting a label on something, and they say, well, I feel what I know what I feel inside, and I feel that that's the right thing, and I'm seeing this, and it's not the right thing. But I think a lot of people, they kind of fall into this trap of personal development and personal growth, and they get kind of they get very like a pride from it,
Right.
And then this also goes against the inclusiveness, because they say, hey, I have my own problems. I have my own individuality to work on.
There is no personal growth.
And they see someone else, and they say, hey, you got your own, you got to do it yourself,
It's time for us to understand this. This word that was very used, very, very used. Personal growth. Okay?
And then
now we need to change this a little bit. Okay? Our growth needs to be more inclusive.
And there's a lot of I don't get involved with this. There was a research that they did it. And what they did is they put it a woman and the man, like the man was really like being really aggressive to the woman. This is public. And they wanted to know how many people would actually get involved. So the message today is completely different than what should be. The message is, don't get involved. It's not your problem. Don't do it. Well, guess what? It's not your problem. It's your responsibility. Everything that happens in the world, it's our responsibility to it. We don't have, it's not to blame. Has nothing to do to blame. To blame is different. Responsibility, it's a completely different process. It's your capability to respond to something. That's what responsibility is. Responsibility, your ability to respond. Now, you can act or you can not act. But when you see this research that they did, it was a woman that was being really violent to this man that was being really violent to the woman. And you see that sadly, 80% of the people didn't get involved.
This is it happening in public?
Yeah.
In public.
80% of the people would just look and say, I'm out of here.
We saw that in TV in New York when the Asian woman was getting bit by this guy, and the guy on the shop went in there and closed the door.
Yeah.
And the owner of the shop went in there and fired all the 3 guys that did not got involved to it.
Because that's we have to understand that socially speaking, that's the culture today. Do not get involved. You know, do not get involved. And then what happened is, I don't have to be afraid, right? I'm not telling you not to have caution to anything and throw yourself there. No, it's not about this. It's about for you to see in a situation and feel in your heart that situation, that kid that is dying from hunger all the way in Africa, it is part of us. It's something that we need to do it. Because if we don't do that, no matter what, we're never going to be able to love our neighbor. If we give too much credit and think that this individuality and this pride that we are, I'm me, you are you, go deal with your life and I deal with mine, you are never going to be able to do what Jesus asked you to do, to love your neighbors. Because your concept, the way you feel the world, it's different. I don't see myself in Larry. Larry doesn't see himself in me. So, you know, you take care of your life, I'll take care of mine, and everything's fine. But the problem with that is, like you said, Manny, all the anxiety that we have, all the depression that we have, all the unhappiness that we live in the world again today, it's because we lost the capability of being inclusive. Because we're just talking about the bad things, but what about the good things? What about when something wonderful happens to Rafael? I'm going to feel that too. You know, every time that somebody becomes a mother in the world, that it's one of the best moments in their lives when it comes to happiness. People, when they hold their baby for the first time, and then they're so happy, you can feel that. Even though if you're never going to be a mother, it doesn't matter. What the thing is that if you are inclusive, we can live a completely different life.
The same
and
way
be happier.
Like you said, everybody feel the negative, they'll feel the positive also. But the negative today is overcoming the positive, and that's what's happening. So that's why people are focused more on the negative situations, because it's more broadcast out there. That's what call our attention.
Right.
Okay? And we feel happy, we feel relieved when you see something happens far away from us and say, oh my God, thank God everything is fine here. My goodness, this is horrible, right?
Yeah.
But that's the relief. Okay? And that's the relief of what people feel. And it's not right. What about those who are suffering right now? And inclusive is going to be a big talk. It's going to be a big thing from now on. Okay? Because this mentality, this consciousness needs to change. We need to change from the intellectual to conscious. Okay? Because what leads the world today is intellect. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and like you just said, you know, we see things on the news, wars and things happening in other countries, and we say, oh, thank God, you know, that's not us or me, you know, happening. But sadly,
it's cruel. It's very cruel.
Yeah, there's been studies done that the more comfortable people get in their lives, the more the wealthier they get, the more, you know, the more they have for themselves and their family, the less they start caring about other people. Mm-hmm. And it's a very interesting thing, because I mean, the focus on yourself has to be, you know, one of the leading things that drive you. You have to make sure that that your life is in order and you're, you know, navigating correctly. But at the same time, you can't get to the point where you're in such a place where you have completely forgotten about everyone else.
But there is not in your life.
Selfish, which is what Allan Kardec said. The main thing selfish and pride. They both come from the same thing.
But there is no your life, my life. There is only life.
Yeah.
And we are part of that life. So when you say it's my life, it's you putting yourself out of the group, because it's not your life. It's our life. Okay?
And that's a great thing to say, because it's not my life, it's a life. It's life itself. Mm-hmm. And life itself, it's wonderful already. Doesn't have to be my life in your life. It could be just life. And when you focus on life, you actually focus on the spirit, because that's the only life we have, because this is gonna go. This is gonna go. And life itself, it's what we need to live. And look at how many problems we have today because of judgment. You can look at it. You are doing fine. You're having a wonderful day. At the moment that you judge someone, your peace, it's gone. Oh, why is Natalia with that thing? Why is she doing that? Why is Rafael doing this? Oh, I don't think that's right. I don't think. The moment that you judge, you lose your peace. The moment. Because you're not judging them. And that's what Jesus was trying to tell us. You know, don't judge so nobody will judge you. It's because you are the one who's judging. Anyway. So when you judge, it's because you see yourself exclusive from that person. And or better. You know, I will tell you this. The other day I was looking, and I think Nach did a talk a long time ago about friendship. So they asked me, what are the really true friends, Yonara? And my answer to that question was this. I don't think that the true friends are the one that when you're doing, you know, when you're going through a horrible time in your life, that person is there to help you and, you know, and give you a hand. In my opinion, a true friend is the one that can see you grow and have all the success in the world and still happy for you, because that's difficult. To see someone that's going through anything wrong and you were there, that it's like good for your ego. You know, like, oh, poor Nach, I'm here helping her, you know. A lot of people will do that. But what about when she's all the way to success and shining and doing wonderful in her life, and then I'm going, oh, you know, she's not that nice anymore. So the true friend are the one that can see the other friend shine and be really happy.
And not be jealous.
And not be jealous and not be judgmental. And believe it or not, guys, if you go to real life, that is difficult to find. You know, somebody that they can tolerate if you are the same as them. You know, I'm doing my thing, you're doing yours, you know, it's okay. But if you have a true friend and this true friend's going all the way up, usually you kind of, you know, shake, you know, yourself.
So we need to
just because of inclusive, because I see my friend as her and I'm here.
So we need to change the way our education systems are, especially on the way of the intellectual, so we can bring to our kids to be more conscious about who we are. That way we grow, our kids grow, understanding inclusiveness, understanding that it's not a competition, understanding that it's not the intellectual, okay? And understanding that intellectual only is not good. Because if you see today, the people that are leading the world today is the most intellectual people in the world, right? So the problems, it's who's causing the problem, the intellectual or the non-intellectual?
Yeah.
No?
Most of
Who's the leaders? Most of the problems of the leaders, right?
It's the unfortunately most of the problem is
I wouldn't say they're the most intellectual, though.
No? Go look at their resume.
I'm not saying intelligent.
Go look at their resume.
I'm not saying intelligent. We say intellectual.
Intellectual.
Intelligence are different.
It's different.
It's different. But the intellectual, you know, it's
what driving the world today.
And that's what is driving. That is what I think about this. It's like that. We take intellectuality and put it in such a higher. You know, we want our kids to be, you know, to go to Harvard, to do this, and do that, and we forgot that intelligence today, intellectuality, not intelligent, are based on books. So if you read 100 books, you have more memories. And then people will judge you.
The intellect isn't a memory, because if you lose your memory, you're not going to have an intellect.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's not intellect, it's memory.
Capability. And then when you see that real intelligence is something so far beyond intellectuality. But we don't teach that to the kids, and we don't teach that to ourselves.
Imagine for the kids.
Imagine for the kids.
So we need to bring the
something else. The consciousness is about intuition. It's about what you can learn observing. It's not what you can learn through the books only. You know, there is so much more for us to get it. You know, but intellect. We like. I don't think that if we can choose, you know, to go ahead and applaud people that has PhDs and all this awesome things that they have, nothing wrong with that. But we worship that. And that is a memory and a body capability. It's not a spirit capability.
The spirit capabilities are not being taught for nobody today in the kids. I teach the youth here in the center, and then when we talk, I see what the teenagers are interested into it.
So you mean like what they're idolizing, people who they're idolizing?
Yes. So
they're
following the same step we did as before. So nothing changed yet. It's still on the same path. It's still in the same circle. Everybody, the parents we as parents, are still focused and forward, pushing our kids to the intellect, to the material, and no teaching about the spirit. You don't see a parent trying to bring their kids to a meditation, trying to bring their kids to a place that they're going to learn some type of life philosophy. They are taking them to, you know, sports and this and so on and so forth.
But still, even if you take the kids to the center, if we, and I'm telling you, all of us, if we don't learn that we need to experience spirituality, it's not going to change. We need to do that. And how do you say is when you experience spirituality, you're breaking boundaries. That's all I wanted to say. When you break boundaries, that it's only your body and you can sense and live a different life, then you are living in spirituality. It doesn't matter. This is what they did. They taught us philosophy and how to live a good life. Does that help? Yes. But would that give us the transformation that we need? Probably not.
Well, because we as the adults are given the example on this path. Let's go to the church or to the center because it's a kind of a hobby, because we are not applying what we are learning inside there. So the kids see no difference, okay? The kids see that he hears something, and from the parent or from the adult, he sees something different, but the adult is in the same place as the kid is. So the kid thinks, why are we going there? Because they're religious. We need to go. We go because it's a hobby. We go because... Huh?
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's the right thing to do, but they're not bringing the kids into this place in giving the right type of energy for that. They're not going there knowing that this is your lifeline as a spirit. It comes over here because I got nothing to lose. They don't put the effort on the feeling so it can contaminate those who are around you. And that's why it became a hobby. Go to the church, or go to the synagogue, or go to this place and this and that. Oh, every Sunday we go to the church. Every Saturday we go to the center. Every whatever we go to the synagogue.
You forgot the reason why you were going in the first place.
You see?
Yeah.
And the kids, they are way more advanced than us. We know. They stay in the spiritual world 100, 200 years advanced than us, and reincarnated here with 200 years advanced than us, and we are behind, right? They are not stupid. They're very advanced spirit.
Yeah.
And they need to feel that the consciousness, the transformation, especially from us, the adults, the people they are leading, okay, it needs to come down.
So the main thing is that we're only going to acquire this transformation that we wish for if we become inclusive. There is no other way.
Okay.
That's how we close. Because we're never going, because you can tell me as much as you want that Anna is my friend, but at the moment that she does something that I don't approve, chances are that it's going to change the feeling and I no longer love Anna anymore. Why? Because I don't think she's me and I don't think I'm her. At the moment that we include everybody and we become inclusive, and then the transformation that we needed, that we wanted, and I'm not going to lie to you, I think we all want this transformation. And I think it's very upsetting when we see that we're trying so hard to achieve something, and then we see ourselves, falling for the same things that we did it over and over again. And we need to ask the question, why? Why am I still not transformed the way I want it? Why not? The steps that we're giving are small because we don't use the power of inclusion. If we include everybody, if we see everybody as part of us, and I'm not saying only people, I'm talking about nature, I'm talking about the animals, I'm talking about the whole humanity, because they're all God's creation, and we are part of God's creation. So being in harmony with all this is the only things that can give us the transformation that we want. If we don't start with the power of inclusion, in my opinion, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to go a little bit, So all the things, all the problems that we have, it will be solved if we see ourselves in everything that we do. Every single problem. Am I going to gossip about Patricia? No. Because if I gossip about Patricia, I'm gossiping about myself. You see? So if we do this, we can achieve so much.
We understand that first.
If we experience that, and it's not difficult to experience that, and I challenge every one of you. If I do a meditation and I take all my mind out, everything that they taught me out, and I'm here with nature and myself, and I connect with Raphael, I feel exactly what he does, what he feels. Because we are affected by each other. We can prove that to ourselves. And that's what we call experience spirituality. You go ahead and experience this. No need to teach me anything else.
All right.
All right. So thank you so much. That was a good discussion. Yeah, I look forward to more of these panel discussions. Yeah. All right. So again, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and close for the evening. So I'd like to join everyone for thank you. A closing prayer. Oh, yes. I'd like to invite any magnetizers in the house to
Magnetize the water.
magnetize the water.
We have water, yeah.
Thank you. So let us remember these wonderful words that we talked about tonight, that we heard. Let us keep them with us. Let us remember that no matter how difficult something may seem, think about your place in that situation and what you are contributing to that situation. Are you approaching with understanding, with love, inclusiveness? Or are you resisting? Are you fighting? Let's all try to understand better why we feel that way, why we feel that certain situations can't change, that certain situations can't get better. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe a tiny bit of effort on our part could make the biggest difference. A tiny change in perception can change everything. We all have a long way to go. We all have many things we still have to learn. But we can start with very small steps, with very small ideas and thoughts. Anything that you are facing right now that is a challenge in your life, try to approach it in a different way tomorrow. Try to see it from the other person's perspective. Try to see the situation in a different way. And maybe you'll be able to overcome and learn a very valuable lesson. So again, with a feeling of gratitude and love and embracing inclusiveness, more inclusiveness in our lives, we say thank you and we end the work of tonight. And so be it.
So be it.